Kiki Barth's epic Lisa Hochstein takedown on RHOM confirms she deserves a Mojito. Ever since the Real Housewives of Miami returned from a near-decade hiatus in 2021, Kiki Barth has been offering commentary on the drama between the cast members. She's never had a dull moment and has won a legion of fans along the way. So it's disconcerting that she's yet to snatch a Mojito to become a full-fledged Real Housewife. On recent episodes of the Bravo reality series, Barth has upped her game considerably, calling out the women when they're in the wrong and not backing down. What's been the most surprising is her feud with Lisa Hochstein. Hochstein won many fans last season amid her divorce from Lenny Hochstein, but it seems like she's embracing her villain era this year. She disappears for episodes on end and reappears with the most outlandish takes on situations, and it hasn't gone unnoticed by Barth. The RHOM ladies are close friends. The beauty of the RHOM cast is that despite their differences, they are friends, but certain things make us question whether Hochstein is there for Barth in the same way she has been for her. With their feud reaching dizzying heights during a cast trip, it's becoming increasingly apparent that Hochstein is too self-absorbed to take on board any of Barth's valid complaints. How do you be friends with someone who doesn't care about your past or know your kid's name? The math isn't mathing here because Hochstein continually dragged her co-star through the mud for the slightest things on the trip until Barth couldn't take it any longer and eviscerated her one-time friend with a more authentic takedown than the reality Von Teese one on RHOM. Lisa Hochstein has gone too far. Hochstein feigning ignorance about the comments she made when the case rode by River Huts was even more concerning. But what was obvious was that Barth had held on to so much of the comments said about her and needed to let her feelings be heard. As bizarre as it was, the takedown was captivating because Barth recognized that her Hochstein had gone through something big, but Hochstein couldn't do the same for her. Bringing karma into a conversation about someone's divorce as a dig isn't something I'd usually be all for, but Hochstein was goading Barth into doing something about it. With another couple of episodes remaining this season, it will be interesting to see whether they can patch things up, or if this feud will be dragged into the reunion at another season. Kiki Barth should snatch Lisa Hochstein's Mojito. The best foot forward here would be to demote Hochstein because what is she bringing to the series aside from shade and one-sided drama? Barth has all the makings of a top-tier housewife, but the producers would need to give her a shot to see whether she'd be worthwhile. The sad part is that she's been delivering content you'd expect from a full-time cast member while being paid as a friend, which isn't very good. It's about time the series gave her the status and salary she deserves for her contribution to the show. Do Friends of Housewives do more than the main cast? Then again, the series has a long history of Housewives friends delivering the best drama, and it should think about moving back to Peacock. It's a travesty that Adriana de Moura is being kept from reclaiming her housewife status too, but that's a conversation for another day. Kiki Barth's takedown of Lisa Hochstein on the Real Housewives of Miami, RHOM, was nothing short of epic. In a moment that had fans buzzing and the internet in flames, Kiki served up a perfect mix of sass, wit, and sheer brilliance, much like the Mojito that became her symbolic victory drink. It wasn't just a confrontation, it was a masterclass in shade, one that solidified Kiki as a fan favorite and Lisa as the target of a much-needed reality check. The stage was set. Lisa, the glamorous and seemingly untouchable star of Miami's elite social scene, was used to being the center of attention. But as the season progressed, Kiki began to shine brighter. Kiki wasn't interested in playing nice with the status quo or sticking to the scripted niceties that so often characterize the Housewives franchise. No, Kiki had an agenda, and she wasn't going to let anyone, especially Lisa, stand in the way of her moment. The tension had been simmering for weeks. Lisa, with her finely polished image and her never-ending quest to maintain the perfect facade, was starting to get on Kiki's nerves. Lisa's attempts at passive-aggressive jabs, her aloofness, and her air of superiority had started to grate on Kiki's patience. Kiki was never the type to back down, and it was clear she had been biding her time, waiting for the perfect moment to expose the cracks in Lisa's carefully curated life. And then the showdown happened. It wasn't a huge, dramatic shouting match like some of the more memorable Housewives confrontations, but it was still devastating. Kiki's words were surgical, cutting through Lisa's defenses with precision. She didn't need to raise her voice or escalate the situation. Instead, she used her sharp tongue and even sharper observations to tear down Lisa's image, layer by layer. The tension was palpable as Kiki's insults landed, and it was obvious that Lisa hadn't expected to be on the receiving end of such a ruthless verbal barrage. "You think you're so above everyone, don't you, Lisa?" Kiki began, her voice calm but with a clear edge of disdain. "You walk around here acting like you're untouchable, like you're above it all, but newsflash, you're just as messy as the rest of us." There was no hesitation, no mercy in her words. Kiki wasn't pulling any punches. Lisa, caught off guard and clearly rattled, tried to defend herself, but Kiki wasn't having it. She calmly dismantled Lisa's every defense, calling out her privileged behavior, her constant need for validation, and her tendency to pretend that she was something she wasn't. "You act like you've got it all figured out, but really, you're just as insecure as the rest of us," Kiki added, throwing in a smirk for good measure. The audience at home couldn't help but cheer as Kiki took control of the moment. Lisa, visibly flustered, tried to regain her composure, but it was clear that Kiki had already won the battle. The beauty of Kiki's takedown wasn't just in the sharpness of her words. It was in how effortlessly she seemed to dismantle Lisa's ego without even breaking a sweat. This wasn't a simple argument, it was a lesson in humility, and Lisa was learning it the hard way. But Kiki didn't stop there. No, she sealed her victory in the most glorious way possible by ordering a mojito. It was a move that felt like a mic drop, a symbolic gesture that perfectly encapsulated everything Kiki had just accomplished. In the world of RHOM, a mojito wasn't just a drink. It was a declaration. It was Kiki's way of saying, "I've earned this," and what better way to celebrate than with the perfect cocktail? As Kiki took a sip of her mojito, her fans were undoubtedly raising their glasses in solidarity. She had not only taken down a Housewives heavyweight, but she had done so with style, grace, and a whole lot of attitude. Kiki's victory was one of the most satisfying moments in RHOM history, and it was all the more sweet because it wasn't about drama for the sake of drama. It was about authenticity, and Kiki had proved that she was the real deal. For Lisa, the moment was a wake-up call. No longer could she walk through Miami's high society with the air of untouchability that she had so carefully cultivated. Kiki had pulled back the curtain and exposed the vulnerability hiding behind Lisa's glossy exterior. In that moment, Lisa was no longer the queen of Miami. She was just another housewife on the receiving end of a perfect Kiki Barth takedown. The significance of Kiki's actions goes beyond just the immediate gratification of watching Lisa get called out. What Kiki did was a reminder that the housewives world is a constant power struggle, and it's not always the one with the most money or the most glamorous life who wins. Sometimes it's the one who is willing to speak truth to power, who is brave enough to call out the emperor's lack of clothes, who emerges victorious. In that regard, Kiki had earned every sip of that mojito. And so as the scene ended and Kiki sat back, mojito in hand, she had not only won the battle, but it set the tone for the rest of the season. She had proven that she wasn't just a side player, she was a force to be reckoned with. Her takedown of Lisa Hochstein would go down in RHOM lore as one of the greatest moments in Housewives history, and Kiki's legend was only just beginning. In the end, Kiki Barth's epic takedown of Lisa Hochstein was more than just a television moment, it was a statement. It was a reminder that sometimes the best way to deal with the high and mighty is to bring them down with a perfectly timed zinger, followed by a well-deserved drink. For Kiki, that mojito was more than just a cocktail. It was a symbol of her triumph, a toast to her rightful place in the Housewives hierarchy. Cheers to that.